Hello everyone. Today we talk about Chairman Xi again. Since Xi Jinping assumed power in 2012, China has undergone dramatic change, both domestically and internationally. However, not all those changes have brought prosperity or progress. Instead, they have exposed several misdeeds and blunder in many areas, from authoritarian political control or to economic policy failure, from diplomatic isolation to the trampling of civil rights. Xi's governance record is ridden with painful mistakes and harmful consequences. Today we will dissect those issues from multiple perspectives, revealing the profound damage to the nation and its people. First, political repression and civil rights violation. Upon taking office, Xi swiftly consolidated power through an anti-corruption campaign. Morphed into tool for purging political rival, with many innocent officials and dissenters targeted on the baseless charges. According to the international human rights organizations, the number of political prisoners in China has surged since 2013, with mass arrests of human rights lawyers, journalists, and scholars. For instance, during the 709 crackdown, hundreds of lawyers were detained for defending civil rights, and many remain unaccounted for. Such a repressive politics have not only stifled free speech but also plunged civil society into fear. Moreover, Xi's social criticism has infiltrated every aspect of life, with surveillance. Citizens face penalties such as travel bans or job restrictions for citizens in the government or participating in protests. This pervasive monitoring not only violates privacy but also dehumanizes individuals. She seems to believe that iron-fisted rules bring stability, but such stability comes at the cost of freedom and dignity. And second, economical policy failures. Xi's economic policy are equally short-sighted and misguided. His flagship Belt and Road initiative may have expanded China's global influence on the surface, but it has saddened many developing nations with crippling debt. For example, Sri Lanka, unable to repay loans, was forced to release the Hanbin total port to China for 99 years, undermining its sovereignty and earning. China's accusation of a debt trap diplomacy. Domestically, Xi's crackdown on private enterprise is practically egregious. In 2020, his abrupt regulatory assault on tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent led to market value losses of hundreds of billions of dollars. The sudden halt of the Ant Group's IPO exemplified the government's hostilities toward innovation and markets. Those policies not only eroded entrepreneurial confidence but also sapped China's economic vitality. The zero-COVID policy in 2022 further exacerbated the situation with a prolonged lockdown, disrupting supply chains and spiking unemployment. According to the International Monetary Fund, China's economic growth in 2022 was a mere 3%, far below expectations. And third, diplomatic isolation. In diplomacy, Xi's war warrior approach has left China increasingly isolated. His hardline stance against Western nations, such as economical sanctions on Australia and retaliatory actions against Canada, has strained ties with multiple developed countries. The 2020 China-Indian border clash, driven by Xi's uncompromising procedure, resulted in the dozens of deaths without yielding any strategic gains, pushing India closer to the United States. Additionally, Xi's ambiguous stance on the Russia-Ukraine war has placed China in an awkward position. His refusal to condemn Russia's aggression while attempting to pose as a neutral player has eroded trust in China among the European Union, distilling China a systemic rival, signaling a severe decline in China's global soft power. For personality cult and decision-making errors, by abolishing presidential term limits, Xi has paved the way for indefinite rules, defying modern democratic principles, and fostering a personality cult. Portrayed as the people's leader, his image and dominant public space. However, this cult of personality has not translated into effective governance. Instead, it has led to centralized decision-making and errors. For example, the zero-COVID policy in 2022 was clearly unsustainable against the new Omicron variants, yet Xi's stubbornness prolonged it for months, exciting immense economic and social costs. So, conclusions. Xi Jinping's rule is marked by misdeeds and blunders from the political repressions to economical missteps, from the diplomatic isolation to a personal cult. His policy have not only harmed the well-being of the Chinese people, but also exerted a heavy toll on the China's standing in the international community. History will unlimitedly prove that true perspective cannot be achieved through authoritarianism and short-sightedness. China's future demands open, inclusive leadership that respects civil rights, not autocracy and oppression. Thank you so much. I'm sorry that my English is so bad, but hopefully that you can understand. Have a wonderful day.